Get it.
So, what are we working on today?
Today, mostly, I got a concept, everything
Okay.
else right, and I just want you to read over it, see if my MA format, if I have any problem with it, and see my grammar.
Okay. So this is, what kind of paper is
It's
it?
augmented.
Okay.
Part of the time I just don't know how to log you to, but I got so many calls.
Okay, good. So this is for your instructors, Miss Salter, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is due
Today.
today. Okay, good.
Because I already kind of fixed most of the errors and
Right.
common readiness one or twice
Okay.
already, and kind of
Okay,
and I
good
just
deal.
want
So you mainly want to just kind of read over it to make sure that.
that no small mistake in there that's
Okay.
unseen.
Okay, good deal. So what I'll do, and this will probably be something that you can use outside of the session too when we get finished, but we'll kind of look at it together, but I want to kind of read it aloud so that we can catch things like that.
Yes, sir. Because I did that one time myself already,
Mhm.
and I caught some small
Yeah.
errors,
Oh, that's
here's and
good.
there's, but
That's good.
I wasn't comfortable with myself just doing
Right.
that by myself. So I
Right.
wanted somebody
Oh, I
else.
understand. So why don't you read it for me?
Okay.
And I'm gonna take some notes if that's okay while you're reading.
Okay.
And then I may stop you
Okay.
while you're reading it, but we'll try to get through as much of it as we can,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I'm going to be listening for those errors that kind of pop out, that kind of make me pause a little bit.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be really listening for things like content, right? Because we want to make sure that everything's flowing correctly.
Yes, sir.
And that your ideas are coming across first.
Yes, sir.
And then we can work on some smaller
Yes, sir.
things. Okay, so just go ahead and read it, and I'll
Okay.
take some notes.
The United States of America is a great place to live. It is one of the world's wealthiest countries. However, it is a young country that has only been established for 300 years. It has a flag of 50 stars to represent the 50 states, and the flag has 13 stripes to represent the 13 original colonies. It has the Constitution to ensure the right of people. It also has government aid programs for the elders and many that's needed. The Constitution begins with the people, which demonstrates its value to the people and dedication to the people. And the United States ensures the security of the people and the right of the people. Its government system is run by the people, and everyone has the right to run for the office. The United States is a great place to live according to its federal support, security of individual, and the great freedom that everyone is able to experience.
Okay.
First, the United States offers many federal support programs to the youth, the elderly, and the minorities. It provides food stamps for the people who do not have the ability to provide for themselves or their family. They also have FAFSA, which provide financial aid for students. As a Chinese immigrant that lives in this country, I feel satisfied with the current support and service that government has to offer. Compared to the United States, China only offers limited federal support to the minority and students. Those limited amount of support also have restricted availability. The United States offers health care for individuals as well. Healthcare takes up around 22% of 2013 federal budget compared to other countries such as Russia. The United States are spending way too much on healthcare, but the country still does so. Our government gave so much money to healthcare plan because they know the citizens need it. The government might decrease the budget a bit, but they have never taken it away because they know the citizens need it. Secondly, the United States provides great security for people physically and financially. In 1933, President Roosevelt passed a Banking Act of 1933 to ensure the United States citizens have their money back even after our financial system fails. This plan provide financial security for citizens to ensure their wealth and keep currency value even when some disaster happens to the banks. Financial security only protects the wealth of people, it does not protect the people. 9/11 give me an image that I will never forget. After 9/11, the United States established the Department of Homeland Security to ensure the security of citizens in the country. This immediate action showed a great responsibility of the nation to the people.
Okay.
Thirdly, the many freedoms are offered to us as a right. In beginning stage of the United States, the Constitution was established to ensure the freedom of citizens. Within the Constitution, founding fathers established the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments shows the rights of people as citizens of the United States. The First Amendment allows us to have the freedom of speech, assembly, and religion. The amendments show how the United States values freedom. I see many other countries such as China and India where religious freedom is not right, but certain beliefs are mandatory. In India, many religions are not allowed. Christian missionaries are not even allowed to enter their country. They will be expelled from the country if they are discovered. In China, many religious ceremonies are held underground. We should be pleased to live in a country where we can freely practice our religion without consequences. Even with all those advantages, many others might argue that the United States is still in recession. Recession. This might be true, but we are still remain on top as a wealthy country. Compare the standard of living between Asian countries and the United States. Standard of living in the United States is much higher compared to them. The advantage of technology in the United States is greater compared to the others. Even though we are still recovering from recession, we are maintaining good living standard, both technological. And financially. The United States pays great attention to its people. It is the country for the people. It has the freedom that is wanted by its people and the security that is needed for its people. It also provides great federal support programs to its people. What else we can ask for? Should we be satisfied with the things that are already offered to us ask for more? Compared to other countries, we are blessed to have such assistance from our government. The United States is a great place to live for its citizens, both mentally and physically.
Okay, cool. That's very interesting. So, did you catch anything, or did you feel anything that stood out to you as you read?
As I read, I stopped at some portion of it that I cannot remember, but it's kind of like what I read is kind of like weird when I read it, but I get the meaning of it though.
Okay.
I think I get the meaning of it because I write the essay, but the wording of it is kind of catching me a little bit awkwardness within the essay.
Okay.
That's what happened.
So, if you can set yourself aside as the writer for now, and tell me as a reader what you think the ultimate meaning is of this piece. What would you, just in a single sentence, what would you say as a reader this means to you?
This, as a reader, I feel the author's purpose of persuading that the United States is a great place to live.
Okay.
The author use very little logos, which is this that he have mentioned about 22% of the federal budget, and he converts some pathos in there with as an immigrant and we, and his credibility has been established. Having established in the text when he mentioned the all those background information in the United States and he put himself in the story. That's what I think. Overall, I give the meaning of it to persuade because I feel that federal support is a great offer, and he used comparison to show to show the difference of the country and how well United States do.
Okay, good. So you feel like in this class you've probably analyzed ethos, logos, pathos,
Yes,
right,
sir.
before. So it's awesome that you can take that and apply it to yourself.
Mhm.
But ultimately, I think that's one of the reasons that you learn it, so that you can apply it to
Yes,
your own
sir.
writing a lot of times. So I think that's good. So I have a few questions about the assignment before we kind of go on into
Okay.
the details. But so you didn't have to use sources on this, is that right?
I only use one source.
Okay.
She said my instructor told us like just don't even use source if you don't
Okay,
need it.
okay.
But I still found a source. Just kind of say it's an argument that I got fast support.
Okay.
This a source that I use.
Okay,
It's a
so you used it. You did pull some things from it for your paper.
Yes, sir.
Did you?
The source I use is a pie chart.
Okay.
I kind of take the percentage and the part of it, just apply to right here as a
Okay.
sentence.
Yeah. So so you cited everything
Um,
in the text
I mean,
that you so like you said you used a pie chart. If you since you've taken probably this percentage from it, right?
yeah, that's only
It would
good.
be good to embed an in-text citation.
So I should put like, I don't
So
know.
do we have if you go back to your works cited, see how you have the author's last name?
Mhm.
And you remember when you cited some things?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you would just put the author's last name.
So I just
Um,
put Charles.
Right, or the last
Oh,
name. Right.
from this
Yeah.
on the side of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the parentheses.
Yes, sir.
So you would use, that way, that would refer whoever's reading this back to your works cited.
Okay.
And to see the information as far as the source goes.
Alright.
And any time that you pull, if you pull from this source anywhere else,
Mhm.
you can just put that citation there too. That just kind of signals that, okay, I didn't come up with this 22%, right? This
Okay.
other guy did, and I'm gonna give him credit for it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Because most of the information that I gathered
Came from your.
Yeah, because I experienced fast forward.
Exactly.
And I know footstep because some of my friends use it.
Exactly.
And most of it is more like everyday thing,
Right.
kind of.
It's kind of like a common sense.
Yes,
type.
sir. Because
Okay,
except
right.
I mean, something I come from my classes. But
Yeah.
I don't really have side that I think
Right.
because like 1933, Banking Act. It's like my American government class kind of just switched through by it.
Right. Okay. Sure. So, so we didn't have to use a certain amount of sources for this. So your
No.
goal, since this is an argumentative paper, what is your ultimate goal for the assignment?
Persuade the audience to believe what I believe as an author that United States is a greater country compared to others.
Okay.
If this United States should be one of the top choice if they choose to live.
Okay. So the basic goal is, okay, the United States is an awesome place to live.
Mm-hmm.
For these reasons, right?
Yes.
And you list those in your thesis.
Yes, sir.
Because you have federal support, security, and then freedoms, right? And I think that's really good. So the only thing that I'll talk about, and I think it would be better that we start talking about these bigger things first, right? Things
Mhm.
about content-wise, before we move on to those little details.
Yes, sir.
So, in your first paragraph, your first body paragraph,
Mhm.
you start out talking about the federal support programs.
Yes, sir.
And you do a good job of kind of giving an overview. You have the food stamp program.
Yeah.
You have FAFSA, right?
Mhm.
And that's really good. And you don't just say, we have these programs. You go into saying how they provide kind of a better quality of life,
Mhm.
right? And so I think that's good.
Then I kind of transfer automatically to
Right.
to myself.
Yeah.
I kind of like because it's kind of weird. This sentence, when I first read it, I think as an author when I write it, it's kind of like sound pretty good. But when it's a reader, I kind of read it. I kind of give me a ambiguity within it. It's kind of like you transfer automatically to yourself.
Right.
So but I don't know how to
I
transfer.
mean, I feel like that it almost builds a better argument that you're pulling from your own experience.
Mhm.
But something that I might suggest doing, and this is totally optional, but I wonder what you think about putting, kind of introducing yourself as a Chinese immigrant in the introduction. Do you feel like that that might make it seem less choppy here? Because you're saying, that you're analyzing, the federal support that the United States, and then you just say, okay, as a Chinese immigrant, these things. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how you'd feel about briefly introducing yourself here, because you do use your experience throughout.
So I can say, this country should okay. It have gone for the many immigrants such as me, come from different country, have received those support from the government, because I mentioned about government aid program up here, so I can use myself.
Yeah, and so, and you could just add a sentence, right? So maybe before your thesis or somewhere in your introduction, you could just make a statement, right? As a Chinese immigrant, this is important. This is my home. This is an important
Experience.
Yeah, and this is the United States is important to me. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Because I think by doing that, when you kind of mention your experiences throughout, they won't seem just arbitrary, right? They'll seem like, okay, we know this guy, right? He's introduced himself in the introduction. So think about.
I can the government run by the people, and everyone has a right to run office. I can do it. Immigrants come from different countries, such as me, come from China, have experienced benefits from this country.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, what do you think that makes a little bit more sense?
Yeah, that kind of establishing myself as an immigrant, so I can use that. So, alright, I just sign on this. Any immigrant should say came, right? Because they come. No, should say come.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because we're kind of we're keeping that tense the same, right?
Come from other countries. Many immigrants come from other countries, such as China, such as me, from China, a Chinese immigrant.
And you might consider, since you have many immigrants come from other countries, such as me, that's kind of like a misplaced modifier. So, for example, you have countries, such as me. So it almost sounds as if you're calling yourself a country, right?
Yeah.
So you would want to put, where you say such as me, you would want to connect that as close to immigrant as you can. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you were referring to yourself as an immigrant, not a country. So think about maybe reword
this.
Yeah. I mean, I would suggest writing down what you want to add, and you can kind of chew on it and reword it to make it fit.
Okay.
Because this is kind of the foundation of what you do want.
Okay. So I can just chew on this.
Yeah, I mean, and you know how you say as a Chinese immigrant. I think that's a good way to introduce the point, right?
Yes. So introduction. I should ask a little brief background of me.
I think so. I mean, as a reader, that's something that I enjoy seeing, because I feel like I know who's writing this before, and since that's a common thread throughout, that might be something that you want to do.
Okay.
Okay. So the next thing, I think your thesis is strong because you do introduce the 3 points that you're talking about very clearly, and you stick with that organization throughout. So that's a really good thing. And so next, it's on this second page here. So we're transitioning from our first body paragraph to our second, right? And we end our first body paragraph with, the government may decrease the budget a bit, but they have never taken it away because they know the citizens need it. Okay, and I think that's a good sentence. But, so think about this first body paragraph is about federal support, right? How might, in the last sentence of the paragraph, how might you reinforce that point, right? Because ultimately what you want to do at the end of paragraphs is really kind of summarize the information that you've presented and then reconnect to that thesis, okay? So see how you say because they know the citizens need it? So what do you mean by it? You see what I mean? Do you mean
Okay.
federal support? Do you mean financial support? You see what I mean?
I should say.
So be really specific there, just so that will connect back to your thesis, and it will reiterate to your readers. Okay, this is this is the point that the author just made. Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay, I get what you're talking about.
So in other words, answer that question: the citizens need what? This, and why is that significant?
Because the word right here I says healthcare, and the overall is talking about federal support program. Because healthcare can interact linked to federal support program.
Right. Okay.
So I say needs healthcare. Healthcare.
Okay.
And
so by reading that sentence that you just kind of changed, it makes me think, okay, the paragraph I just read was about healthcare.
yeah, kinda.
So ideally, I could look at this sentence and then look at your thesis and see some common thread. And so, in seeing healthcare, I don't really see that as a main point. So what you want to do here, even though healthcare does relate, I think, you want to reiterate that main point in that summary statement.
About federal supports.
I think that's a good way to sum it up. Because you've started out with this kind of umbrella of federal support, and you've broken down FAFSA, right? Food stamps, healthcare, those things. So now the best way to cap that off is to go back to that main point, right?
Yeah, I think this is kind of linked to federal support too, because the government decreased the budget a little, but they're never taking it away because they know the citizens need federal support.
Right, exactly. And so if you change that to federal support, I think that's a strong point. And then, so they have never taken it away. What do you mean it away? Are you talking about?
They're never taking federal support away.
Okay, but since we're saying it here, so you say that they may decrease the budget.
Yeah.
But they've never taken it away. So what do you?
Well, refers as it.
Yeah.
The programs. Never taking the programs away.
Okay.
Because they need.
There you go. Right. So, and that's something that I encourage you to do throughout. So, maybe before you turn this in, read your paper, or maybe log into Microsoft Word and click that. Remember when I showed you how to use that find tool? Have you ever used that?
Yeah. And
type in it. And look at each time you've used the word it to see if you've been specific. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So to make sure that not necessarily that it doesn't need to be in your paper, but make sure that it's clear what you're referring to. Okay. And this was an instance, I think, that you agree that it needed a little bit more detail.
Because it kind of create ambiguity between
because you didn't know what it was in this case. Okay? So I think this makes it a lot stronger.
Okay. Programs and federal supports. Would the support should apply the ED or just leave that there? Because federal support as a whole. Yeah,
I think you're fine leaving it.
Leave like that.
With support, because that's the way you've kind of presented your thesis. Okay, so that was the main point I wanted to talk about, and also look at the rest of your summary statements throughout. See how you have this immediate action shows great responsibility and ownership. People. That's a pretty good summary statement, but also remember we're reconnecting to the thesis. So if there's any way that you can reiterate that security notion, then do that.
I can take that immediate action. This not responsibility, but this immediate action show a great responsibility of the nation. Shows a great responsibility of security of the people in the nation, from the government, something like that.
I like how you've got shows a great responsibility of the nation.
To the security of the people.
I think that's awesome.
Should I say just to security?
Or what? How might you turn security into a verb? So if you
secure.
Okay.
To secure the people.
I think that's
secure. Secure with an S or just live like that.
Yeah, so since you're
secures
using the to
Yeah.
in front of it, you can keep it in its regular form,
Okay.
right? You can keep it in its
to the
infinitive
people.
form. Okay.
Oh gosh. To secure the people.
That's right.
The immediate action shows a great responsibility of the nation to secure the people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that's some more clear.
Yeah.
vibe.
And so you see how you've just taken what you have, and just by adding those 3 words, you are automatically reaffirming your
my sentence to the topic sentence.
exactly. And so that's something you want to check throughout, right?
Uh-huh.
And so here you end this paragraph with a sentence about religion,
Uh-huh.
which is something you presented, but that doesn't necessarily.
Link directly to it.
So
We
think about
should-
how you would do that.
Should be pleased to live in a country where we can freely practice our religion without consequences.
So how about you might just add a sentence, right? And
Yeah.
that's okay to do. Sometimes just to add a sentence that
So,
kind of restates the topic.
so I can say freedom.
Mhm.
In United States, in the United States, freedom is what's my topic? Freedom is a right that everyone have experienced, not just in religion, but in many other